Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. I have a bit of a different video today. I'm going to talk about some of my books, normal book wrap up, and then I want to talk about a few of the books that I have read to my daughter lately, and I would love your opinions on what you do when you read to your kids and what books you look for, and I'm really excited for this video, so let's just jump into that. So, one of my good friends recommended the book Leonard and Hungry Paul by Ronan Hessian. This book is following two 30-something-year-old men who haven't really done much in their lives, and they're really okay with it. They enjoy playing board games, they live with their parents, they just haven't done much in life. And then they start doing things with their lives. That's basically the whole plot of the book. So initially, I look at that plot and I'm like, I don't care. I do not care about the problems of two 30-something men who just aren't doing anything. I'm like, why am I supposed to care about this? I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. It ended up having some really interesting messages on just the necessity of kindness and on keeping that balance between enjoying the simple things of life and enjoying things for what they are, and also but balancing that with needing change and needing to stretch and grow and try new things. And I think that there were a lot of things that were really interesting about that. An easy way to tell if you would be interested in this book is just the first paragraph, because it is written in a very specific style. So the first paragraph says, Leonard was raised by his mother alone with cheerfully concealed difficulty, his father having died tragically during childbirth. And that's the book. It's witty and clever, and at times feels like it's trying too hard to be witty and clever, and sometimes the way it is written works really well because some of the things that are rather ordinary come across as sounding really profound and can be kind of moving. If you want a book that is not too heavy but has some meaningful bits, I think you might like this one. It was a pretty good read. Now, I picked up the book Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. This is following Marion Graves and her twin brother. They are raised by their uncle, and she wants more than anything to be a pilot, and she wants to fly airplanes, and it follows basically her entire life. And at the same time, we have this other timeline of modern day, this woman who is going to play Marion in the movie about her life. So the writing itself on this book was good. It was well done. It kept me very engaged. It kept me moving through it. One of the big things that I just did not enjoy was it just felt like all the characters were like somebody, oh look, it's somebody who's living and breathing. I should sleep with them constantly. And I'm like, do these people not have any self-control or concept of being faithful or anything? And I just found that to be really annoying because I feel like all the characters seemed to have a little bit of that going on. And I get it if it's a character and you can see how this is part of their life or something. I get that. I'm not saying that I never ever want to see books that have a character that sleeps around a lot, but I just felt like all the characters in this were very promiscuous in a way that almost didn't feel authentic to me, so that did bother me. I also just really hated the actor's timeline. I didn't enjoy it. I found her to be a really selfish character, and I know I don't have to like her, but I never felt like it was delved into enough to make me suffer through her chapters without feeling like there was any sort of payoff or, lesson learned or something. I just did not like her. And that's okay. I mean, characters don't have to be likable. But on top of everything else, I didn't enjoy it. And this book was so much longer than it needed to be. It could have been half the length for the story that it told. And I mean, the writing was good in that I didn't feel like, oh, I just need to put this down, it's too long. It just, by the end, I'm like, I wasted so much time in my life on this book that just never ended, just kept going. I just left it feeling like there were lessons to be learned or things to be gotten out of this book that didn't happen, you know? I didn't really feel like I got a message, and I don't need like a message, but at least some like character development and character growth or something, and I was missing that. It was more just, there's character growth because she's literally growing up through the whole book, but not that she's changed or that she's a different person, and I just was missing that. It was annoying because I was invested because I went through this whole life, and I was invested because it's a stinking long book. But where was the growth? Where was the learning? I missed it. Something did not work for me. Whew. It has been a while since I've had a book that I disliked quite so much. But now I want to talk a little bit about some books that I have been reading to my daughter the past year, basically. So I made a video quite a while ago that talked about how I was reading the Percy Jackson books to my daughter. So I was reading them out loud. So I read all 5 Percy Jackson books. But what do you do when you get done with the Percy Jackson books? You jump into the Heroes of Olympus books, which is another 5-book series. And I read all of those aloud. Now, my daughter wanted to keep going. I'm like, all right. The next one was Trials of Apollo. So I read all 5 of the Trials of Apollo books to her out loud. Now, I enjoy these books for what they are. I think as an adult reading them, I don't love the Percy Jackson books all that much. I feel like it's really just kind of shoehorning in different things from Greek myths, and not everything that happens really is moving the plot along. It's just, and then we run into this other monster and this other monster and this other monster over and over and over again, and it gets a little repetitive and boring. I get that for me, but for my daughter, she loved all the myths. She went and looked them all up. She loves all that, and I want to support that as much as I can. But that's where I tell my daughter, enough's enough. I'm done reading the Rick Riordan books. I will buy them. You can read them. You can read as many as you want. I'm just not reading them out loud. Like, it makes me so tired. But it was fun. Like, if you have a kid that wants to get into Greek mythology, jump into these books. It's really an easy way to make them accessible. And so my daughter loved them. It was a great time. I did buy the new Percy Jackson book that just came out, and my daughter's reading that right now. I gave it to her yesterday. She's on like the last 2 chapters. So once cutting off the Rick Riordan reading, we had to get another book to read aloud, and I decided to go into The Hobbit, and I have read The Hobbit so many times, and I read it as a kid, and I loved The Hobbit. I've always really enjoyed the stories, and so we read them together, and I had such a good time. This was a really fun read aloud. Tolkien, why did you have to put so many songs in all of your books? I have to break into song every little bit, and I'm trying to make up a tune as I read out loud, and it was a bit much. But I think my only real complaint is just my daughter's really sensitive to when there aren't women in the books, and she's like, where are the girl dwarves? Is it a girl dragon? Where, she wants to see herself in the books, and I can see how that would be really frustrating. I think that there are a lot more books nowadays that are written that have better representation of different genders and peoples, all sorts of things, but I have such nostalgia over The Hobbit, and my daughter really liked it. So we are jumping into Lord of the Rings. We're about 1/4 of the way through Fellowship, and it's really fun. I would like to know, how do you pick what to read to your kids? What makes you enjoy reading to your kids? I know for me that I enjoy reading books that I'm enjoying reading, and as soon as I stop really enjoying it, it becomes a bit more of a chore. And once I'm excited about a book, we read all the time together. And so I'm excited to get into Lord of the Rings, and I would love to hear, give me some book recommendations to read to kids. We're gonna get through Lord of the Rings in the next couple months, so let me know what I should read to my daughter next. And thank you for listening to this slightly different video today. If you have any thoughts on these books, or if you have any recommendations for books for kids, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all on the next one.